the soul of extinction. There is nothing more beautiful, more terrifying, more awe-inspiring than the Monster Hunter world. Hello, my fellow hunters, my fellow scholars. Welcome to Monster Lore. And today we explore the flagship of world, Nergigante, the Eater of Elders, the Extinction Dragon, the clone army bringing balance to nature itself, and a phenomenal rapper. Filled with regret as I expect you're not ready for the threat of a dragon with elder hunger. So, welcome to my world, so-called monster hunters! Oh yes, I promise everything else that I will tell you will be undoubtedly true, at least to the best of our knowledge, with help from our real-world wilds. I am very excited to return to what is for me the heart of Monster Hunter, and honestly, my greatest passion: the ecology, the lore, the nature, every little detail explored in what makes these monsters, these creatures, these animals tick in a way that's so uncannily believable. So many have requested this return, and after over nearly 100 chapters so far that I have made over the last 5 years, I am all too happy to celebrate Return to World with a return to Monster Lore. So, without further ado then, join me as we start with Nergigante, a fitting choice and a fascinating one too. We all know him at a glance. He is, I think, iconic and has become so very quickly, despite technically being a new monster from this most recent 5th gen. Our spiky friend that doesn't understand the concept of personal space, especially when it comes to Zora Magdaros. But we will get into all of that. First and foremost then, the Extinction Dragon is, well, an Elder Dragon. An Elder Dragon, a title more than anything else for groups of monsters that cannot really be grouped in any other way, that hold power beyond what any one creature should hold, and quite literally are walking apocalypses of varying degree. Now, Nergigante, with his lack of any elemental fury, perhaps might be misplaced, almost, in the category of Elder Dragon, because yes, he is dominant, he is aggressive, he is strong, he is brutal, and he is relentless, and there is not many monsters that could beat him in a full-on brawl. But his presence isn't going to tear down an entire ecosystem. At least not directly. You see, Nergigante's greatest threat to humans is that he is a great threat to other Elder Dragons. A Teostra might come across him, and a Teostra would flee. And where that Teostra might flee is now a problem, because we have one, the Emperor Flame, burning down all around him for simply existing displaced in somewhere he shouldn't naturally exist, and that's an issue. You scale that up to every Elder Dragon in a Nergigante's vicinity, and, whoa, okay, we need to stop the source of this, so all the other Elders now ruining everything can go back home. And indeed, that is what happens in our world journey. Kushala Daora, Teostra, and Val Hazak very much came to the forefront, running and disturbed from Nergigante. But why do they flee so readily? Something that can be seen in Hunt 2. A Nergigante taking a bite out of Teostra. Teostra wastes no time.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Well, simply, the clue is the Eater of Elders. He specifically targets Elder Dragons, though not because they're Elder Dragons. That's more a coincidence from Nergigante's perspective, and mercilessly kills and consumes them. But why does he do this when it would be much easier to go after weaker prey? Well, a Nergigante is a living battery for bioenergy, and it is one he must always fill. He is not after so much the flesh of his fallen enemies, as much as he is their essence, and the new world is overflowing with the stuff. Xeno'jiiva attempting to harvest it is what caused such a problem, and would have gone on to be a threat to the entire New World had we not stopped him. Zora Magdaros releasing his almost nuclear payload of the stuff in the Everstream would have burnt through the New World had we not directed him out to sea. And indeed, that abundance of bioenergy in Azora Magdaros, more than any other creature we've encountered, perhaps save Xeno and Safi'jiiva themselves, is why Nergigante was so obsessed with him. Now, Nergigante is well aware when he can't handle the fight that he's against. He is a nomadic roaming predator. Many of our real-world creatures travel incredible distances looking for food. A lone tiger traveling over 15 miles in a single night is an easy example. But when Nergi has found something that valuable and rare as Azora, well, he's not going to let it go easily, and that is why he stands against us whenever we attempt to dissuade Zora's path. He wants to claim it for himself, and he's more than happy waiting for Zora to die, and then scavenging the corpse. He doesn't need to kill all of his prey. He is an opportunistic feeder when it suits him. And Azora Magdaros would really have suited him, because the reason he hunts down bioenergy is to reproduce. Now, it should be noted that yes, all creatures in Monster Hunter have a certain amount of bioenergy, but Elder Dragons have the most, which is why he targets them. He doesn't want to waste his time, waste his energy with something lesser. Like a traditional apex predator, if they deem the meal to not be worth the effort expended in gaining it, they will walk away. It's why a wounded Teostra was easy prey, but once Lunastra came to defend her mate, well, while Nergi could likely still have won that encounter, what he gained would be less than what he was likely to expend. Because in fighting, he burns through his own supply of energy, fueling his endless cycle of spike growth and regeneration. It's not just the spikes that come and go. His entire body is especially good at healing from wounds. It is how he tackles such fury as the flame of an empress and lives to tell the tale. Not only lives, but is barely scratched as his body recovers in mere moments and he can continue on the offensive. That is why he has put all of his stat points into strength, because most Elder Dragons rely on elemental attacks, and Nergigante can shrug them off by sheer force of will and regeneration, which then turns it into a contest of strength, and at that point, Nergigante has the clear advantage, both in his strength itself and the design of his very body to go along with it. In fact, it's my theory that Nergigante's incredible regeneration can very much be explained by not just his literal physiology, his immortal scales, his regrowth plates that facilitate this explosive healing, but they are powered by the bioenergy that he does run on. It happens instinctually, naturally, automatically. Similar to Safi'jiiva plunging his wounded limbs into the ground, absorbing ambient energy to heal them on command, Nergigante's happens passively, as an inbuilt function using his own supply of energy that is constantly being topped up by his hunting as a source. But for now, the spikes. See, most animals use spikes defensively. The porcupine is a small creature, at least compared to a lion, which too often attempts to hunt it, and too often pays the price.
Oh, I've made such a bad decision. Oh my god, is it bad? How bad is it? Does it look bad? Can you notice?
And a porcupine's quills will regrow endlessly, a couple millimeters a day until they are full size. Now, while they can't shoot them out, unlike Nergigante, who indeed can, though he's not so much shooting them as playing on their properties while young. When they are white, they are flexible, they can bend slightly, and they can snap off easily. And when he exerts himself, they do so, and then the force of his movements send them flying, a hail of piercing spears to strike down any given opponent. It is frighteningly effective. You attack Nergigante anywhere other than his relatively softer underbelly, well, you're likely to pay for it dearly. You try and stay at range from him, avoid his claws, his slams, his grapples, well, you're still likely to pay for it dearly. And when you find yourself unable to not just beat, but even damage this creature determined for you to die, all you can do is run. Nergigante honestly has a lot in common with salamanders, who could infinitely regenerate their tissue, heal without scarring, and recover from even heavy burns without much trouble endlessly. He really is a hodgepodge of all nature's greatest regenerators in, you know, massive deadly dragon form, and I absolutely love him for it. His cycle of fresh new spikes that over time harden as they are exposed to the environment, getting tougher, denser, and more weighty, and slowly make it harder for Nergigante to remove, which means eventually he does have to get rid of them all, reset himself, as it were, in a cataclysmic dive bomb that we're all too familiar with. Even if it doesn't hit you directly, the spike spray of now hardened spikes is likely to do the job. Now, yes, he is in his most vulnerable state when his spikes are gone or new, but given how hard it is to damage them even through the spikes, it's not that vulnerable. Nergigante is Iron Will, and it takes a lot to send him running or make him fearful of his own existence. So all of this is to say, we have a creature who is built for not just beating, but effortlessly killing creatures of natural disaster comparable power in Elder Dragons, all to harvest their bioenergy. And as I said, it is to reproduce, which is where Nergigante becomes truly fascinating. Because Nergigante is a clone, and all Nergigantes are clones. See, they reproduce asexually, which means they don't need a male and female. All Nergigante are essentially genderless, which is something many of our own creatures subscribe to. And there is many different types of this kind of reproduction. Cells are splitting into two copies. A cutting of a plant growing into an entirely new plant. But Nergigante's school is that of the starfish, where you may remove one of its prongs, and, well, the one you took it from will regrow it as it was before, and the prong that you have taken will grow into an exact copy of a new starfish, and so on and so forth. In Nergigante's case, it is his spikes. Those clusters on the ground that we used to track him, that we used to find him, they themselves will grow into a new Nergigante. Can you hear it? The soft cry of new life? Okay, perhaps that was a little bit weird. The point is, this process to grow an entire Elder Dragon out of these spikes that, yes, is an identical clone of the Nergigante whose spikes they came from, requires, you guessed it, an awful lot of bioenergy. Hence, the Eater of Elders, hence the obsession with Zora, hence his variant form taking down Shara Ishvalda after we were through, who is overflowing with the stuff. But we will get to that in a bit. For now, we have a dragon that must constantly shed its spikes, lest they grow too heavy to bear. Those spikes can turn into new Nergigante if they are indeed meeting of the right conditions, the biggest of which is enough bioenergy, causing them to produce germ cells and then rapidly form into a new Nergigante. And then that Nergigante will start seeking out strong sources of bioenergy to repeat the process. A self-sustaining clone army that is instinctually built in to hunt down powerful monsters. This is why Nergigante is a check on the ecosystem. He is a guard against monsters growing too numerous and too powerful. He is a overseer, not by a deliberate choice, but by his very nature, that will prevent any given Elder Dragon from becoming too dominant, because should they become so, they will be an easy target for Nergigantes everywhere. It is why he went after Shara, it is why he went after Teostra, it is why he went after Zora Magdaros. This army of self-regulating Elder Dragons is perfect in its design. The only concern is if they ever grow too numerous, but if they grow too numerous, well then there won't be enough bioenergy to sustain them, and therefore they will start to die off, and naturally their numbers are controlled. There can only ever be just the right amount of Elder Dragons when Nergigantes are involved. And while they followed Zora to the New World, they have now found their place here and have taken root. And considering the Elder Crossing, Elder Dragons coming across the sea, well, they won't have to wait too long for meals. This, I think, is incredible, and I think it is a beautiful design. It really gives Nergigante this place that is so very different from every other Elder Dragon. He is the check and balance to their sheer, normally unstoppable fury. And while he is nicknamed the Extinction Dragon, he will attack and kill anything that comes near him, he is also very necessary. And when Nergigante do not exist, we would quite honestly have much larger problems that are much harder to deal with. So next time you're hunting Nergigante, remember that this infinitely regenerating Hunter of Elder Dragons is playing a very important role. The thing is though, asexual reproduction does have its downsides. Where everyone is a clone, everyone has the same weaknesses. And it generally means that everyone is only adapted to the one environment that they are adapted to. It prevents evolution, or more accurately favorable mutation, in a way that isn't the case in other forms of reproduction. Though that said, Nergigante from his physiology is very adaptable by nature due to how he could handle all manner of harsh elemental conditions, so he does counter that particular downside. Mutations, though, aren't impossible, either at the cloning stage in the cluster of spikes or post-life. It can happen, and then any mutation is going to remain. Given that every Nergigante is a clone of the one it came from, if the one it came from happened to have any fundamental changes, well then the clones will, and so on and so forth. Enter Ruiner Nergigante, the variant, and the one with metallic spikes. These are harder, sharper, and more dangerous than any others, capable of piercing flesh much easier and causing bleeding. It has gotten this way from countless battles, more intense conflict consistency. The growing and regrowing of its spikes then has taken on this extra sheen. Though that said, the metal spikes don't come back. They are super hardened and permanent until they are shattered by a hunter or a rival monster, and that is them done. So whether this is something that will pass on to any baby spike Nergigantes from Ruiner is harder to say, but clearly it is a state that all Nergigantes are capable of ending up in should they have black spikes unremoved for too long. And that is it when it comes to Nergigante. He's an almost machine, a mechanism, a vehicle for control, and while of course an animal in his own right, he is just a mountain of muscled, spiked, regenerating instinct, making sure that all powerful monsters still have to look over their shoulder.
What could be over here? Oh my god, on my left? Okay, maybe on my right. Oh, I don't know. Anybody could be behind me.
And in that, he is beautiful. I hope you have enjoyed this, and I would love to know which monster you'd like to see next. For now, like if you have enjoyed it, it would mean the world if you would pass this on. So much goes into these, and they are what I love the most. Subscribe for more, consider supporting the future of this channel and this lore on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.